I shook my husband awake for the third time that night. "Roll over, you're snoring again." He mumbled something and shifted position. 5 minutes later, the sound started again, that deep, rattling noise that made sleep impossible. I grabbed my pillow and went to the guest room thinking, I can't do this anymore. 20 more years of this and I'll lose my mind. That was 2 months before the sleep study showed his breathing stopped 40 times an hour. Before the doctor said if we didn't fix it, he'd probably die in his sleep within 5 years. The snoring started about 7 years into our marriage. My husband Paul had gained some weight, nothing dramatic, maybe 30 pounds, but enough that his snoring went from occasional to every single night. At first, I'd just nudge him. He'd roll over, problem solved. But it got worse, louder, more persistent. Rolling over didn't help anymore. I tried everything. Nose strips, different pillows, making him sleep on his side, kicking him when it got really bad. Nothing worked. "You need to see a doctor," I told him. "It's just snoring. Everyone snores." "Not like this. You sound like a freight train." "You're exaggerating." I wasn't. I started recording him at night, played it back in the morning. He was shocked, didn't believe that noise came from him. But he still didn't go to the doctor, said he was too busy, that it wasn't a big deal, that I should just wear earplugs. I wore earplugs. They helped a little, but I could still hear him through them, that deep rumbling that shook the bed. I moved to the guest room, started sleeping there most nights. Paul didn't like it, said married people should sleep in the same bed. "Then stop snoring." "I can't control it. I'm asleep." "Then see a doctor." Round and round, same argument for 3 years. My friends whose husbands snored sympathized, said their husbands refused to get help too, that men don't take these things seriously until it becomes a real problem. I resented Paul for it, for choosing not to address something that was affecting both of us, for making me sleep alone in the guest room because he was too stubborn to see a doctor. Our intimacy suffered. Hard to feel romantic when you're sleeping in separate rooms, when the sound of your husband breathing makes you want to scream. Then one night, I woke up to silence. Complete silence. I was back in our bedroom that night because the guest room AC was broken. The silence woke me up, which sounds weird, but after years of snoring, the absence of it felt wrong. I looked over at Paul. He wasn't breathing, just lying there, still, silent. I shook him. Nothing. Shook harder. "Paul!" He gasped, started breathing again, looked at me confused. "What?" "You stopped breathing for like 30 seconds. "I'm fine. Go back to sleep." But I couldn't. I lay there, watching him. It happened again 20 minutes later. He'd be snoring, then silence, then a gasp, then snoring again. I counted. It happened 5 times in an hour. The next morning, I didn't ask him to see a doctor. I made him an appointment, told him he was going whether he wanted to or not. This is ridiculous. You stopped breathing 5 times last night. That's not ridiculous, that's serious. The doctor ordered a sleep study. Paul had to sleep in a lab hooked up to monitors. I couldn't be there, but they recorded everything. Results came back a week later. Severe obstructive sleep apnea. He stopped breathing an average of 40 times per hour. His oxygen levels dropped dangerously low. His heart was under constant stress. If left untreated, this significantly increases your risk of heart attack, stroke, and sudden death during sleep, the doctor said. You've probably had this for years. Your body's been in crisis mode every single night. Paul went pale. I thought I just snored. The snoring is a symptom, but the real issue is your airway completely closing. You're suffocating in your sleep. Your brain has to wake you up just enough to start breathing again. That's why you're probably exhausted all the time. Paul was always tired. I'd attributed it to him being lazy, not getting enough sleep because he stayed up too late. Turns out he was exhausted because he wasn't actually sleeping, just cycling through breathing crises all night. They fitted him with a CPAP machine, mask that goes over his nose, machine that forces air into his lungs, keeps his airway open. Paul hated it, said it was uncomfortable, made him feel claustrophobic. He'd rip it off in his sleep. You have to wear it, I said. The doctor said, I know what the doctor said, but this thing is awful. It's keeping you alive. I'd rather snore. "You'd rather die?" That stopped him. He started wearing it every night, adjusting, getting used to it. The snoring stopped, completely. First time in years our bedroom was silent at night. I thought I'd be relieved, thrilled, finally able to sleep. But I wasn't. I lay there in the silence feeling anxious, wrong, like something was missing. I realized I'd gotten used to the snoring, that for years it had been the soundtrack to my sleep, and without it, I felt alone, untethered. The CPAP machine made a soft humming noise, rhythmic breathing sounds as it pushed air. It wasn't the same, wasn't Paul. "How's the new machine?" my sister asked a few weeks in. "It's working, he's breathing normally now, no more apnea episodes." "So you're sleeping better?" "Actually, no, I keep waking up. The silence feels weird." She laughed. "You spent years complaining about his snoring. Now you miss it?" "I don't miss the snoring, I miss what it meant. That he was there, alive, breathing. Even if it was loud and annoying, it meant he was okay." That's when it hit me. The snoring had driven me crazy, but it had also been reassurance every night that my husband was alive, that he was next to me, that we were together. Now I knew the silence could mean he'd stopped breathing, that his airway had closed, that he was dying. The CPAP prevented that, but part of me missed the certainty of the noise, the knowing he was okay just by the sound. Paul adjusted to the machine over time, started sleeping better, had more energy during the day, lost some weight because he wasn't as exhausted all the time. "I didn't realize how terrible I felt until I started feeling good," he said. "I thought being tired all the time was just getting older, but it was this, slowly killing me every night." The doctor said Paul probably wouldn't have made it another 5 years without treatment, that the stress on his heart from constant oxygen deprivation would have caused a heart attack or stroke. I thought about all those nights I'd been angry at him for snoring, kicked him, moved to the guest room, resented him for not getting help. He was dying, slowly, and neither of us knew it. "I'm sorry I didn't take it seriously sooner," he said. "You were right, I should have seen a doctor years ago." "I'm sorry I made you feel bad about it. I treated it like you were doing it on purpose to annoy me." "It did annoy you. That part was real." "Yeah, but I'd take the snoring over the alternative." Sometimes the machine malfunctions. The power goes out or the mask shifts or something, and Paul snores, just for a minute until he adjusts the mask. When I hear it now, I don't get angry. I feel relieved, because it means he's there, breathing, alive. The sound that drove me crazy for years has become the sound of home, of safety, of him being okay. We sleep in the same bed again. I fall asleep to the soft hum of the CPAP and his steady breathing, not the chaotic rattling of before, but the sound of a man whose airway is open, whose oxygen levels are normal, who's actually sleeping instead of suffocating. I think about all the nights I spent in the guest room, all the resentment I built up over something he couldn't control, all the time I wasted being angry instead of concerned. The snoring wasn't the problem, the sleep apnea was, and I'd treated the symptom like it was a personal attack instead of a medical crisis. My friend's husband refused to get treated for his snoring. She'd been complaining about it for years. I told her about Paul, about the sleep study, about how close we came to losing him. Her husband got tested the next week, severe apnea, started treatment immediately. She thanked me, said she'd been so focused on being annoyed, she never thought it could be dangerous. We do that, focus on how something affects us instead of what it might mean. The snoring was annoying, but it was also a warning sign, a red flag we ignored for years. Now, when I hear Paul breathing at night, I'm grateful, even when the machine makes weird noises, even when the mask whistles, because it means he's getting the air he needs. It means he'll wake up in the morning. The silence I wanted almost cost me everything. The noise I hated was keeping him alive just enough to see another day. And now the new sounds of his treatment are what help me sleep. Funny how perspective changes everything. If you love real stories about marriage that teach something powerful, hit subscribe. I post daily so you won't miss a lesson like this.